Welcome back to the channel. It's Jay Seeking from American Aborigines Unchained on YouTube and in the Facebook group. And again, we're back with another This Is Not Your Mama's Bible Study because we know that his story lied. And so we are looking to use all of these tools that are available to us today in order to figure out her story. Okay? So again, I'm not here to tell you what it is or what it ain't. I'm just simply sharing what it looks like to me. Okay, so, and that's going to be way different than what the average, what one would call Bible thumper or someone that really digs into the scripture um, would be saying. And the thing is, it's not what I am saying. We are using the actual terms from the actual word and looking them up in etymology, which is just the history or the story of a word. Again, you still have to be able to read between the lines and see this with your own. And so this is what I'm saying. If there was some way to understand what we're really talking about in this text, I'm telling you, it's so deep. It would never be on the surface like they teach you in the from the religious aspect or in the church. Okay, because they just read it as if we are talking about a story. No one goes deep into what these terms actually mean and what they would have meant around that time. Um, and so it is sort of a discourse, like we've done videos on a discourse in the biblical fashion or history on the channel. If you want to go back, and it would have discourse in the title, I believe. Okay. So, yeah, so that would be the way that they use church and school when it comes to this. Let's see if we have it here. Okay, this is helping me get a view on where we're, okay. So, what was I saying? Let's see. Oh, yeah, when it comes to this particular place here on your fiat dollars, there will be an eye on top of the pyramid, and it will be detached from the rest of this here with a light behind it and things like that. But again, the priest and the academics, this portion right here is what has captivated your mind's eye, your third eye, your crown or corona chakra. Again, even when it comes to this so-called virus, it has a lot to do with you and what's going on in here right now with this awakening that they would like to bring to a halt. And this is why they want you to get that vaccine before anyone else, right? Okay, because Black Lives Matter, right? Okay, so again, we are looking at anything that we're looking at when it comes to a historical or biblical or what's going on today with this awakening. It all is one big ball of allegory, myth, biblical, historical, legislative, laws, your spiritual sense. This whole body right here, or this construct, basically is what they've placed outwardly in a symbolic nature, that we are going with this here. So we are going on a discourse against self, or our connection to the true spirit or frequency or energy that we're connected to when it comes to the actual source, which would be not the God of creation, which would be their story of their creation on top of a prior nation that would have been in all of these lands prior to colonization. Okay, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is the way that they spell it to make you think, look outside of oneself for the answers. When again, if you sit down Indian style, your temple or your head is going to be here. Your knees are going to hit here, and this would be the body. Okay. So again, only this portion here, the reason why this world and this construct and this worldly realm that we're living in now seems to benefit all of these people and not you, is because they've cut you off from being a part of the nation and giving you the illusion of inclusion, or a false notion or perception that you are included here and you are not. Okay, so again, we were talking about field. Now, I'm not going to go over this whole thing again. You would have to look at part 1. I didn't know I was going to have to separate this into so many parts, but some of them are like 10, 12 minutes. And then this one may be a little bit longer because I hope to be closing with this one. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all that again. I think this will be part 4 or video number 4. And so we're going to go ahead and go back into something that I feel like I missed that's very important. So again, we know about this, the field. So they were going into the field, right? And this is to go out to fight. So again, when they were bringing these people in, not only were they giving them citizenship and giving them lands that they had ripped from our ancestors and given to Native Americans and indigenous people to later rip them from them and then give it to pilgrims and planters and husbandmen and all these other different groups that came over or was sent over by their God-governing force in order to thrive on top of the earth. And again, this is the earth. Where are we? This would be the earth or the indigenous people, or I mean the aboriginal people that have been cast out or sent away from their standing, while some of these particular people may have been down here residing with these people when this whole thing was connected at one point. But this God-governing force put enmity between the seed of the foreigner and the seed of the American Aboriginal. And then they lifted these people out above the earth so that they can fly high in the expanse of the sky. You see what I'm saying? So again, when they're talking about God and the sky and the heavens or whatever, a heaven is just an elevated place or elevated status. So these people would be at a higher status than you, and their lives would matter and yours would not, because again, you are down here and you are dead in the Sheol by law. So we're afraid to go to hell when you're already there. Okay, so on earth. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna finish this up really quick. Okay, so it says here a specific sense of a battlefield. Oh, to stop and return the ball. And just close my door, please. And I'm gonna, matter of fact, this just brought me to something that I think that we're gonna go in today here with the Mormons. In an image that I just saw that was very kind of, because we were talking about a sphere or a ball or something else down here with the right here, a sphere or a range of any related thing. Okay, and there's an image of that the Mormons have in one of their monumental whatever things, where there is this bronze statue that is a woman and she's holding a ball. And I didn't look at a close-up of it because I was looking for something else, but now since we just read that, I'm going to go ahead and try to pull that up too. So anyhow, even like the ball is in your court, I'm kind of like is what it's reminding me of. So again, we're talking about open land. This is land that is going to be open, or people of the land or the land itself that will be open for these people to fill or to come into in abundance. Okay, and cultivated, again, it would be cultivated and ready basically after the tillage. See, laid flat. This is also what we're talking about when we're talking about a field. It will be laid flat, and then because of the tillage or being tilled. These are very important terms for you guys to look up in etymology if you want to get an understanding, because when you look at this, it's going to be different than when I'm looking at it, because is going to give you the same ending. See, that's the good thing about this, about using etymology. It's going to give us the same conclusion. But again, this may enlighten you in different levels, in different portions of the understanding that we're trying to partake when we're trying to unravel this. Etymology is like I don't know what to say. It's like a living thing, and it kind of forms in your mind. And when you're reading other things, these terms and whatever will start bringing you back. It's hard to explain, okay? Like I said, it's just very hard to explain. So again, the earth is talking about people. We already know that. So we want to go to this term here, the Pele, or I think up here it said Pele 2. Oh, here it is, Pele 2. Okay. Okay. Flat to spread. Okay. So again, this cultivating will have to happen before, and it's actually talking about of people, not the ground. Okay, would have to happen before they sent these other particular people in. Okay, and other seeds and things will be sprouting from that land now, meaning indigenous or native people, that again it will be easier for these people to actually work with. Okay, in terms of coming together with the people that they're bringing in and the people that they have already produced or created and gave breath here, and joining those particular people, and then later on bringing you in to help you see take down your own uh people for land, because generation after generation they separate you from these people. No one remembers that you are the original. See, and it's cold when they're speaking, when you hear natives saying this is our land, if you do the land like this and that, you just, if you really have a keen ear, you'll understand what this is actually talking about. Okay, and they may not even know. You see what I'm saying? Because they've been played. But the point is we do. Okay, so anyhow, let's go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and click this term. So again, when I was telling you how it says in Genesis to bring them in abundance and to fill the earth. And I think we saw fill in the other definition, but this is a little bit more clear. It brings more to the table, right? So the root meaning to fill, the derivatives referring to abundance and multitude. So again, you guys that read the Bible and you guys that are dipping into it, you know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about in abundance and the multitudes, like the sand of the sea and multitudes and stuff. These terms are being used, okay? And replenish. See, this is another thing that they said to do to the earth. That is you, to replenish it. And again, let's just go ahead and look at it really quick. To fill it up, okay? To fill it up, to replenish. Now, let's see. To make it full, okay? But there was something else I wanted to make mention of that, but we'll keep going. Maybe it'll come to me. So, so it's saying that it is the hypothetical source of evidence for its existence is provided by Sanskrit. Now, this may be going back to the earliest, and it may have something to do with the original peoples when we're talking Sanskrit. Okay, and it says much Preya. Okay, Preya. Mostly, excuse me, much, many people. See, we're talking people here. A multitude, a great number, wealth, also full. Okay, full and abundant. For all of these things that happen, when we're looking at this story and we're looking at the outcome of where we are now, we can still see right now the gutting and the laying low of the original people. So we cannot just be on emotion and want to be attached to this God or one of these gods, because there's many in this biblical text, so much that we're forcing ourselves into everything. We cannot do that if we want to be real. If you want to come from a non-biased approach, you have to remove yourself from all of it altogether and just be looking into it to get a better understanding. If you're going in talking about we're this and we're the Israelites and everything, you're going to try to find every way to make that yourself. Okay, but again, we're still dealing with old church Slavonic. And if we want to look at the fact that America, now that we know, was fully, okay, the Americas was full of so-called Negroes or Aboriginal or original people, the earth itself is what we are connected to, who we are descendants of, okay? And I'm using that as a term that they were using. Also, rocks and trees and things they were using to speak in allegorical nature of us. The bison, the bison, killing of the bison. Yes, they were killing bison too. But at the end of the day, they were also killing, and they were uh, using you as pelts. And the fur trade had something to do also with that, of them taking the skins of some of these rich and earthly brown people and using your pelts or your skins as well, coated as beaver. But again, alongside that, they cannot say what they were actually doing to you because you would be able to find this out. So they're saying it without saying it, and you have to do the work and do your due diligence to unravel it and see exactly what they're talking about. Okay? Ouch. Sorry. So Old Church Slavnik is also what we're talking about. Again, the Slavnik people are not talking about you. Okay? So the Fela or Fiola, much or many, Old Irish, Ian, Eon, maybe, full, okay, Welsh. Now again, we know about Welsh, sorry. We know about the Irish and all these other people that they brought alongside some of these original or indigenous or native people in order to bring them in, graft them in, and teach them the ways. So everything is so watered down at this point because the originals, you know what I'm saying? Uh, it's been passed down from the originals that they originally took, the Aboriginals. Again, the older books that I'm looking at says the land was not taken from the Native Americans, it was taken from the Aboriginals. That was the first people that the land was actually taken from. That term got lost because they didn't want us looking at that term. And now they say that it was taken from these particular people. But the natives will even say that some of these monuments that they're saying are theirs, that the governing force is saying that is theirs, that was there before they even came. So again, that would have been the original. That would have been who nourished and brought them up. And then after that, the indigenous people were breeding, okay? So they would take the indigenous people and then use them in order to create native and other groups of people. This is what we're not understanding here. And the paper bag test could also go to what they did with the rest of the people. So if they said they killed 80 million Indians, and I would have to go find something that talks about this so that we can look at what terms they actually used. They may be talking about with the pen, not the sword. Okay? The pen is mightier, correct? Okay, so after they make you ignorant, they delete and mixed up things and change names when it comes to your genealogy and make it harder for you to backtrack. You know what I'm saying? Who were they giving your riches to? So again, wealth is something that we're seeing here. So flat to spread, okay? Again, so we're spreading even this seed here of the semen, okay? They came here to seed the nation. That's CEDES. I keep saying these things over again so that you can hopefully go look them up, but that's what these people came here to do, is to seed. So again, that is their seed that they're spreading all over the earth, which is you, and causing amalgamation or other types of things. And if you did not want to go with this and you wanted to continue to be dry land, or you didn't want to go with this, they would just take you down. Okay? Just like that. Okay? So a tropical tree. Okay, again, trees are planted sometimes. Sometimes they're there organically, but sometimes they are planted. But since we're using all these plane and plan and plane and palm, and could this be something that was again planted? Oh, planet. Okay, is another word that is with this. So okay, so here, let's keep on going. It is it is the hypothetical source of evidence for its existence, is provided by Greek placion, to mold. So again, this is the molding of taking something, the dirt or the dust from the earth, and then molding it into a further creation. This is talking about also what was going on in Genesis 2, because God had done his work of creating at least one or two different types of people in Genesis 1. Lots of different people, actually, because all of that stuff that we're talking about, when it's talking about trees and plants and fruit and all this stuff and animals, that's actually talking about groups of people. Okay. And then when you get over to Genesis 2, this is when the Lord God, okay, because God is resting, right? He didn't come back from resting at that point. He chose to rest and consecrate it and make it holy. Okay, so again, that's the seventh day. So then we're talking about the 1800s, or the eighth day, when many things were happening with us, like different laws and things put up, slave laws, finally, after you supposedly been slaves all this time, and slavery was about to be over. So I don't understand why they would go through this extent, because it wasn't that. It was the finalizing of conquering a nation. Okay. So when you see all of these Victorian brown skinned women, okay, in some of the images like I've showed you guys in the channel before, They don't show you that. Like, okay, they don't show you that in this day and age. It's hard to find those particular images. There's like 10 that are circulating that we can all find on Pinterest or something, but they act as though you didn't exist or you weren't, you know, dressed and things like this at some point in time. Okay. So again, here we go. Plasma. Because I think I seen it up here. And I was thinking, that's a, uh, it's also talking about Psalm. Well, not really, but palms. Uh, but that's what makes me think of. Plaster, plastic. Okay. So introducing metals and silver and all these things. This is also talking about introducing a different mineral or material to the original people as well. I mean, it's just so deep when you start looking into this. So, anyways, to mold or plasma, um, something molded or created. The creation story is them talking about how they mixed and amalgamated with the people of the earth or the earth itself. That's just all. And if you go through it and you do etymology while you're going through it, you're going to come up with the same conclusion. So it's not something that I'm just coming up with. It's just I chose to go against the grain, take that chance of God being mad at me and doing the research and coming out and saying, hey, if this what it is, this is what it is. If this not my God, it don't have to be. Because really, I don't like the way he operate anyway at this point. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just my thoughts, okay? So again, these people were created and given the gift of life or blown the breath of life into, okay? Um, Flat, level, even, plain, clear. Okay, so again, we see all of these things that are pertaining to this. And it also keeps talking about Slavnik whatnot. Okay, so it goes right back to field. Okay, so since we did that, I feel a little bit better. So I was saying that we wanted to go into the laws. So then I would want to know if I'm going off of a theoretic thing. Oh, look how funny this is. The 1870s and 1880s. So again, that God from Genesis again would be, but then there were slave laws also, I think from around this time too, 1790, I think, maybe even the first census. A couple other things come to mind, but anyways, we're here. So it says this is the history of laws concerning immigration and naturalization in the United States. I hope this is the same one that I had on my phone, but if it's not, it should still say the same thing, right? Okay. So immigration is distinct from naturalization. I think this is the same one. For the first century of the United States history, immigration to the country was unrestricted. So there was no restrictions here. Anyone could move into the United States, and that would be your 13 colonies. Again, yeah. And then there's said to be 12 tribes, but then they're said to be one hidden tribe. So again, I'm just correlating a couple of things, okay? So start a new life, pay taxes. Now, so these are the things that I'm having to think that this must have been some of the laws and statutes and commandments that were given to this particular group of people, okay, in order to keep themselves flying above the earth and to keep them at an elevated status in this world, in this new world, okay? The New Testament is going to be more leaning towards 1800s and up. Okay. So, again, whether it is a plan, if you are the only one that is controlled forever and you have all the documents and all the power, then you would be able to plan what's going to happen for the next 200 years or whatnot. Or even I think I heard somebody saying something lately about a will or testament or a will of testament, or God's will, thy will. And I was just thinking, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. So what do we mean when that also is going to be talking about? Is this when they pulled you out of your status and made you start paying taxes and things like this as well? Just random, okay? So start a new life, pay taxes, participate in military services, and conduct business. However, because again, you weren't able to be in the military at some points in times. Why? Why? It wasn't until things changed or when you gave up certain rights or when they took them from you that then they were able to bring you into these sorts of things, enticing you to leave the country and come into the city and things like this, the South and come to the North or whatever. Okay. So, um, however, while the United States had an open borders policy for the first century of its existence, it had a very clear naturalization law for the first years of its existence. So again, these are two different things, okay? Anyone who wanted to vote or give their vow to God is what voting is. So if you think that one of those people up on that stage is your God, which they are, you just think that it's something else because you've been given a discourse. But there is something that is more powerful in you once you let that go and you wake, okay, from this slumber that we've been under, okay? So if you want to vote or give your vow or your promise to God, okay, or hold elective office had to be naturalized, okay? We see nature in there too. Mm, just like someone said something about Israelites, and I think they asked a question underneath this video when I posted it, and I'm going to try to answer that too. Because if we're talking about Israel, we're talking about the house of Israel is used, the term used, right? We're talking about Israel, okay? And we're talking about Israelites, okay? So that's a compound type of word. So there had to be Israel before there was lights. So if light in that fashion, LITE, means something that is less in number or something that is light, even in a lighter version, then how could you be Israelites? And if these people had so much favoritism, how could you be Israelites today? Where can you prove, besides us looking at documents, that our grandparents or foreparents or forebearers would have been farmers? What else do they make it easy for you to access that you can tell that you had any kind of gifts from this particular God? So then you have to take that into context and be real with yourself at that point in time. That this, okay, anyone could immigrate in, but only those who went through the naturalization process and became a citizen. So you would have to, and again, this naturalization process could be one thing for immigrants, but another thing for people that are actually the real people that think that they're immigrants or African or something else, trying to come into this particular United States, which would at this time, the earlier times would have just been those colonies. Okay, so this may be for them to obtain something more, but it might have been you denouncing who you were at the same time. So, process and became a citizen, could vote and hold elective office. Okay, uh, and don't forget that these people could have been darker hued people too. Like your crump that's in your face have something to do with every single case, but ain't none of the cases came and brought nothing towards or forth from him working with them. This stuff is just an act. It's a TV show, and you guys are just, I just can't believe it because I have a spirit in me that is discerning immediately. Just like the Bible says, you will be able to see their lies as soon as they open their mouth. No, I think this is Enoch that I'm talking about. Still the word to me. You dig? So, that they won't be able to fool the elect, and they're going to be able to see exactly what you're saying when you're saying it. That's me. Okay. So maybe we'll do like a fun Friday and I'll try to take you through some interviews and stuff like that and point some stuff out that you guys I know already are seeing if you're on this channel. But again, maybe, we could do something fun like that. Okay. And a lot of people are going to be mad because it's going to seem very, ugh, it's going to seem mean and harsh, but it's just real. And I just have to do it that way. I can't do it no other way. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. But only those who went through the naturalization process and became citizens could vote. And again, when you're giving up your rights and you're becoming citizens, your original rights, your I don't want to say sovereign or anything like that, but when you're giving up your rights as an Indian, um, to integrate into their system, which you've been fooled to do, and they use some of our greats in order to do so. But I respect them because these are the greats that I feel woke up at the end and tried to do something different right before they lost their life, and this is the reason why they lost it. But they were basically handing a torch lit for us to continue the run. Okay, and we didn't do that. We stuck with certain things like I have a dream because that's what they wanted us to do. Okay, so and hold okay office. Okay, so uh, this set of policies in which open immigration was permitted, but naturalization was tightly controlled, persist until 1870 and 1880. Now, a lot of things were going on with the original people here and the indigenous people at this time because they were here too now, and even some native people. Until the 1870s and 1880s, even though they didn't start using that term native until later. Okay. Because again, they preserved these people on reservations in order to, and kept you out in order to not taint the blood or taint the creation or uh, things like this. Like, I think this is what Adam and Eve were punished for doing. Is they were supposed to be making things light, which made God very happy in Genesis. And I think that they went the other way, and that is where they went wrong. And that was the sin that their fathers did that they're paying for to this day. And that's why thistles and thorns shall they, as they're trying to gain something from this earth, from these people, that is you, so on and so forth. Let's keep going. When growing support for eugenics, okay, so now we're going to start talking about eugenics, eventually drove the United States government or government to adopt immigration laws. These laws were intended to end the open immigration policy which the founding fathers had permitted. Okay, so again, when we're talking about these sons of men, you have to wonder who we're talking about, because again, like I tell you guys before, this is just my uh, theoretic speculation, okay, that I say it's real. The fathers of the founding fathers, or the forefathers of the founding fathers, would be the people that are dealing with our people in the Old Testament. Okay, all right. So the founding fathers would have made something anew. Okay, so in favor of preventing racial taint. Okay, so we're talking about they wanted to prevent racial taint from immigrants who entered the undesirable countries. Now let's go ahead and look at this again real quick. These are the undesirable, delete, untouchable, outcast people that have been cut off. So this 1 second. You want to So this would be pertaining to these particular people here that they would be saying were tainting. Although they came here originally to taint your blood, now they have their people grown into a multitude, and they don't want you messing it up anymore. Okay, so let's see. So now it's gonna give a breakdown. You guys can look at this on your own. Okay. But here in the 18th century, the United States Constitution, which again does not include you, because again, the we the people is not talking about you. Okay, you were not a people at that point in time. This is the stuff that was going on during the Reconstruction and all this other stuff. Okay, so it was adopted on September 17th, 1787. And we're going to try to look for this date here in the text, in the biblical text, if it's possible. If I find it, I'll bring it back to you. So here it says all this of the Constitution expressly gives the United States Congress the power to establish and uniform rule of naturalization. Pursuant to this power, okay, Congress in 1790 passed the first naturalization law of the United States. Okay, so this is naturalization law. And then we're talking about the Naturalization Act. The law enabled those who had resided, because this is what God wanted these people to do. The man that he planted in the east of the garden, which happens to be where Washington, D.C. is today, he wanted to create a man to preside, reside, president, same thing, in the country for 2 years, and had kept their current. So again, these are people that follow the laws of God and his commandments now, okay, and kept their current state of residence for a year to apply for citizenship. However, it restricted naturalization to free white persons of good moral character. Now, this will be the upright, or even when we're talking about some of the people that we think were for us, when it comes to the gentleman, or you see those images of Frederick Douglass and all the other so-called colored men that they give us images of and works of, that I'm just wondering on this. Okay, I did a video on it if you guys want to know more about that, but I'm just wondering here at the free white persons. Okay, so just because we're gonna just do it, let's just do it. From white adjective, highly luminous color, devoid of chroma. We don't know what this is. The white part of the eye. The white man, a person of race of distinguished. Okay, or that's what they call them too, distinguished gentlemen. When it comes to these colored people that had a high rank, but also it just means a lighter or a light complexion. So Du Bois, I'm just saying stuff right here, y'all. Okay, it's from 1670, a white man in the sense of 1690, man's burden. Because again, something about this light and washing yourself and making yourself clean and cleansing out something that would be dirty from yourself, maybe even your clothing or your covering, which also is talking about the skin, even in Genesis. We can look at this as lightening yourself up so that you may enter the kingdom of God. This means having a power, a platform, okay, a certain platform, because they know that you're going to stick with the oath, or with the oath that you've taken. And so again, some of us were able to amalgamate or mix with these people and become, again, in this term, when we're talking about white, we're talking about light of complexion, it says. So I'm just saying, okay. So take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. So again, we're talking about peace also when we're talking in the scripture in Deuteronomy. I think it's talking about something of peace. And I wanted to bring up like a peace treaty or something that was made between these people. I think we're going to look at it in Deuteronomy 27. Okay. But and I say stuff like that because if I forget to go back to it, you guys know where to look if you want to look into it a little bit more. Okay, so fill full the mouth of famine. So this has nothing to do with it, but I'm just reading it. And abide the sickness cease, and when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought. So when the goal is nearest, the end for others sought. See, look at this. This is just, it's talking about the same thing that we're talking about right here. So when they got to their certain numbers and positions of power, this is when the end was for you. So those end times already came when it's pertaining to what I'm thinking. So watch sloth and heathen folly. This is another favorite term of Lincoln too. Bring all your hopes to naught. Okay. So again, bright, radiant. Again, Illuminati, illumination. 1 second. Whichever you do. In 10 minutes. Okay. So again, clear or fair, white to shine, light, brighten. Okay. So let's see, as a surname originally with reference to fair hair or complexion. Morally pure. Again, when we're even talking about the stuff that we've been sharing about hair and using bone marrow and other things to straighten the hair, why were they doing these things? Why were we doing these things a couple years ago when we were using perms and stuff so we can look more presentable to be included in some of their or partake in some of their places, as far as jobs and schools and stuff like this. See, I mean, this is just a molding. It's showing you the molding of what they did to the people to bring you to where you are now. The racial sense of those races, chiefly European or European extraction. So again, taken out of. See, characterizes light complexion, pertaining to white people. Again, light complexion could also be darker hue people originally that again made themselves white or clean, washed themselves. Baptism has to do with this, not just dipping your damn body in water and making yourself clean in the middle of the damn swimming pool or lake. Okay. White supremacy attested from 1868. Okay. White supremacy and Negro subordination. So this will be a good one to look up too. But again, we'll just go through here. White way, brightly illuminated. Okay. True surrender. A white flag. White house. Okay. Waters, river rapids. This also could be talking about these white waters, could be talking about those who came through the waters and ended up making a home in certain places. 1580s, probably around the fifth day. And if you go back and you see these terms like this that say 1580 and 16, whatever, go back to Genesis 1 and look at what was going on in the fifth day, if it's talking about the 1580s, and see if it was the same thing that was going on in that Bible. And I tell you, I guarantee it'll be the way every single time. And just to be sure, read what happened in the fourth day and the sixth day, so that you'll get a whole roundabout exactly of what was going on in history in that time. It happens every single time. Okay. So again, let's keep going. So we already looked at how this white is pertaining to something when it's talking about the field and things like that. Okay. So let's see what else we wanted to look at. The law. Let's finish up the laws. Okay. And then we'll see here 19th century, what all happened with these laws. You can see how things have changed over time as they change these laws and acts. So even 14th Amendment based on the Civil Rights Act of 1866 was passed in 1868 to provide citizenship for former slaves. Who were these slaves or these Slavs? Again, what in the 1800s, this had to do with John Brown and also Lincoln and all that stuff and him, his works. Okay. 1866, whatever, that all persons born in the United States and not subject. Okay, and not subject. So I'm wondering if this has something to do even when they say that we are subjects or something of African racial groups or something like this, to any foreign power. Okay, so they're not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians, not taxed. So I guess some Indians were taxed and some were not taxed. and hereby declared to the citizens of the United States and such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery, or involuntary servitude, like prisoners of war, maybe, just saying, shall have the same rights as is enjoyed by white citizens. Okay. The phrase of 14th Amendment reverse the condition clause to read all persons. See, all persons. See, because when you take away citizens, well, you're all citizens now, especially if you check that box on your driver's license when they ask you, were you a citizen? But persons would be a different group of people altogether. But we think it's the same thing just because they give you the illusion that it is. So all persons born or naturalized in the United States. And what is born? Look it up. Look it up. Okay. And subject to jurisdiction, therefore are citizens of the United States and in the state where they reside. Okay. So anyways, let's keep going here. Let's see. Wait, the Wong Kim. Wait, United States versus Wong Kim arc. Kind of arc is this? A landmark? Because again, they've given you the perception of what an arc is. So again, when we're talking about, even when I was looking in the genealogy charts, it has something to do, it has a whole bunch of numbers and codes and everything, and it says arc. And I'm thinking, so the ark, or Noah's ark, again, could have been a document. Because the flood was actually the flooding of a nation, the influx of immigrants coming into the place through the waters. So again, we would have to find out what the ark really was. And two, I'm just saying. Okay. So even just like the Ark of the Covenant being something of a wooden box covered with gold, and it looks a lot like the president's desk. I was going to do something on it a while ago, but I gave it up because I thought it was a little bit far-fetched. But again, who knows? Maybe somebody out there is thinking the same thing. Okay, to deal with the child of Chinese citizens who were legally residents in the United States at the time of birth, with exceptions such as for the children of diplomats and American Indians. Okay, see the article of Just Soil, or Soli, which means birthplace, and Just Sangunis, I don't know, bloodline, for further discussion. So anyways, this is something new to me that maybe somebody might want to check out or already know something about and can add, something to the comments. So again, 20th century, talking about Japan, and again, that makes me think about the concentration camps and stuff of Japan and stuff like that. Sure, there's some good stuff here, but I don't want to spend too much time going through this. I just want to show you guys. This is Wikipedia or Wikipedia, whatever it's called. And then I wanted to show you guys this image. So the gate is narrow. Okay, remember? So this is Europe, supposedly. And this is all them trying to funnel into, I guess, the USA. And it says this is the only way to handle it. 3%, the gate. And I guess they're coming through, but he has this little thing, you see, to kind of. So it's funny how these people aren't even having origins here. They just been naturalized, and they have a say-so over people that were created on this land or originally just the earth that was here, that there is no explanation, and they do not know how and where and who you are and what you are and where you came from. This is why they still studying you the way that they do to this day, and the type of melanin that we have to this day. Okay, so I think that's it for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and go into Deuteronomy 27 in a second, but let's see if some of these images are pertaining to what we saw here. Okay, no, I'm keeping that for something else. We already looked at this one. I think this has to do with 27. Okay, but I was just looking at this. However, that by the end of the 19th century, with Jim Crow laws enforced across the U.S. and millions of immigrants arriving in New York Harbor, okay, the statue's primary associations shifted. And this says this is July 8th. I can't even see the year. And it says, "Welcome to the Land of Freedom, 1887," which also had some dates, I think, that resemble what we saw over there in the etymology. Published by this person, Library of Congress, whatever. So again, these are the small people or the small multitude. We're going to look at light when we're talking about the Israelites when I come back with the second or the fifth portion of this video. But this is an image that I've been having on my phone for a while. And this shows you people with wide noses and things like this, thick lips, kind of, okay. Again, getting, this looks like sand here. And these people are inside of this dome or, inside of this capsule, something this is or whatever. And they're being smashed down by this falcon or something that this looks like. And you'll notice that this image is on totem poles and some of the teepees of some of the natives or so-called natives in this land when we're talking about the fowl of the air and the beast of the field. Because this particular thing represents the fowl. Okay, that's going to go on top of you and bring you down real low. And actually, they're putting you in the bottomless pit or the Sheol or hell. This is what this is symbolic for in my eyes. Again, somebody can add something if they want. I haven't even really read that much about this image, but to me, that's just what it's saying. And some of the things, and some of us don't have to do that. It will come to you because you are doing your work, and it just comes to you anyway. Okay, and then you just confirm it by looking up information about it. Okay, so I just want to show you how swarthy these people that look Europeanish or whatever are that are coming in here. I think this is about the Mormons or whatever, on a gasoline powered car that ran between Coldwell and Lake Lowell. So again, I just want to show you the skin tone of these people. And even you can see her hair texture a little bit. There's more images like this that we're going to go into, but I think that that's why I had this here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think that's it for now. This all has to do, I think, with something that I'm talking about later. So we'll go into that later. Again, thanks a lot for watching. I hope that this explains some of this stuff to you guys. And don't forget to comment or like or subscribe. And you can also join us in the Facebook group American Aborigines Unchained for more information like this from me and others. I think the group is up to like 3,000 now. So it's like, wow. Yeah, so I'm kind of happy with the progress of the group. I'm just hoping that we can get a little bit more going on the YouTube channel. So that it would make it, worth our while. If you guys think that this information is something that someone may want to hear, please feel free to share it, or use it, or, give credit or don't if you don't want to. But it's definitely appreciated so that the channel can grow. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.